God. Sorry I didn't have time to kickstart the old lava lamp there. Still haven't taken my watch off yet. I had to drive my dad, who hasn't flown in 20 years at least, to the airport for an emergency flight. The same thing I've been telling you about for years, of course, happened to my mother. She's in Tampa. She collapsed at the entrance to the Tampa airport. She's flying back home. She was down there to see her sister, whose husband, who died like 20 years ago, used to work for the CIA. Totally unrelated, obviously. My mother flew down there with her sister from this town because her sister, who's had the stab juice and the boost and the reboost and yada yada, has every, I won't even go down the laundry list of all the things that are wrong with her. And you know, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't do any of that stuff. And it's everything in the world's wrong with her. My mother collapsed at the entrance to the Tampa airport, and she threw up, and then my other sister was flying back home with her. Called 911. I'd fly down there myself, but I can't afford to, and I have to watch my parents' cats and feed them and do some other things at their house, so I can't go too. My dad will keep me updated, but I'd like to go down there, but I can't. They're installing an emergency pacemaker. She's at a hospital down there called Meese Hospital in Tampa. Meese Countryside Hospital. I know you don't care about this. I'm going to get the subject of the video here very, very quickly. I apologize for this video being slightly disheveled, and me too. She's got a 3rd-degree AV block, also known as a complete heart block. It's a medical emergency where the electrical signals from the heart's upper chambers, atria, the electrical signals are blocked from reaching the lower chambers of the ventricles. I couldn't talk my mother out of it. I know this is personal, but anyway, my mother's sisters talked her into it, and my mother's sisters, all their husbands, either work for or did work for the government, and they have this whole, oh, the government says it's safe and effective. I've told you a million times, I don't care what you think about me, never, ever believe any government. Ever. Never believe any government. And I don't, please don't even dare leaving a comment saying, well, how do you know it's connected? You're not a doctor. Don't even tell me that. I don't have to be a firefighter to realize and see what a fire is. Anyway, this is from my mother, 99% certain, okay, from getting the stab juice. I was kind of worried about this happening. Hopefully the worst that happens from this, they're taking my mother into surgery right now for an emergency temporary pacemaker. An emergency surgery for a temporary pacemaker, then apparently they told me they're going to put in a permanent one. My dad, I just literally drove my dad like light speed over to the airport so he could fly down to Tampa. He doesn't even have a hotel in Tampa. He doesn't know where he's going to stay at. They're happy enough that my dad is, that I'm staying here and taking care of their cats. I actually had a premonition about yesterday, and I didn't have a premonition yesterday about today because yesterday was so awful. Because I was actually down in the basement. My drains were clogged, and I can't take a shower, and the drains are above my head in the basement. And I'm sitting here snaking the drain. Every time you pull the snake out, all this filth falls on your head. Let me take my watch off here. So every time you do this number to clean the drains, with a snake, and I still had paper towels to block it, but it would still come through. It was just, I had all this filth all over me. I had to throw away some of my clothing. It's like even if they were washed, it would still be like ruined. I had a premonition about the day. I walked and I wore sandals, but somehow a piece of glass got cut between my foot and my sandal, and I cut my foot really bad. And I was like, I hope that's the worst that happens today. So I was out in the grocery store, and my dad called me, and I was actually, I didn't know what I was going to do after that. I thought my poor mother was not going to make it because it was critical you know, the initial reports about my mother. I'm sorry, I know you don't care about this. I'm sorry I'm talking about it. I'll get to this main video here in just a second. You know, they kept coming back to me that my mother was critical, so I didn't think she was actually going to make it today. And she still might not make it, but I'm looking on the bright side since she's an emergency installation of a pacemaker. But they're going to look for blockages, but if they have blockages, that's going to be stents. But I know all of this stems from the stab juice. I wish my mother would have listened to me. I've had thousands of you, you know, not have it done for XYZ source of causation. I'm not going to point to any person as the source of causation for that, but, you know, you can help other people, but you can't help your own family members. Isn't that an old saying? So that's where I'm at. So I've had a really tough day, including the fact that I got a big cut on my foot and it's throbbing like heck. So I'd like to fly to Florida, but I got to take care of their pets. Anyway, I found out in getting into the premise. I'm sorry for this. I really never do this in video, so I apologize for like wasting 6 minutes of your time. You could fast forward through it. I apologize. I know how to lose weight, and I'm losing weight, but I made a big mistake. I haven't had a good salad in like 15 years, and I got this super expensive salad dressing that doesn't have seed oils in it. It's just tomato and cucumber and some sunflower seeds with some cheese sprinkled on it and some balsamic vinegar. And even though I like doubled up my workload on my exercise, you know, just eating nothing but one salad a day, my weight had moved. Excuse me. Sorry. My weight on the scale hasn't moved in a week and a half, and it's because I've been eating like nothing but salads. That's it. You know, I knew this, but I didn't register in my brain because I was having such a good time eating a salad. It's like human beings are not rabbits. I'm going to go back to what I know works, but I just can't eat meat every day. Human beings are not rabbits. I know. I can't eat a salad, you know, maybe once in a while, but I was eating them like every day, and that's all I had every day, just one meal, a salad. It's like, well, even that salad with no seed oils and no carbs in it, just had some cheese sprinkled on it, okay? Even that was, my body said, oh, yeah, we're not going to lose weight. He's eating a salad. I can't believe that. The UK, according to a guy named Lewis Goodall, they're floating a 100% inheritance tax. The same thing is happening to Germany. Merz just said that the welfare state of Deutschland can no longer be financed, quote unquote. They're looking at floating 100% inheritance tax. This guy with the UK government says it's the only fair choice. So 100% of what you leave to your loved ones when you, you know, pass over to the other side, 100% of that goes to the state. Every person with more than $2 to rub together, or I should say 2 pounds, is going to leave the UK. France did something really horrible, not this horrible, and like every rich person fled France. Every one of them. Essentially every one of them. Europe is collapsing, and people keep, you know, scratching their head wondering why Germany and France and the UK and these other countries are inviting in lots of people from other countries. And it's the reason that really, really irks me. And even though I have basically zero respect for Elon Musk, he said, what really worries you at the middle of the night? He sat there, he thought for a long, long time. And he's right about this, even though I don't like Elon Musk. He was talking about population. The population is just completely sliding into a pit. I like to talk about that at the end of this video. What they're trying to do is they're trying to prop up their tax base. They can see the numbers. People in European countries and America are not reproducing. Well, the people in the government get scared to death when their tax base vanishes. It scares them. They don't care about you. They just want a tax base. So if you have ever had a question about why, and this is the reason why, I've talked to genuine experts, and they said this is exactly why. They said their tax base. It has nothing to do with, you know, a diversity. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the tax base. So the German welfare state is collapsing. France is collapsing. UK is collapsing. UK, the Netherlands. The only place that's not collapsing is like Hungary and definitely Poland. It keeps coming. some famous British person recently said, actually I remember their name and I'm not going to say it, said, politics can't save this. It doesn't matter who you vote for. This is an unstoppable train that is meeting Jello, not an immovable object. It's an unstoppable. Doesn't matter who you vote. It's still going on. The cabals, as I loosely say, the cabals, that are controlling this are still pulling all the strings. Oh, we got a new president here in the United States. Things are getting better. Things are getting better. No, they're not. Things are getting worse. Food prices are getting worse. Gas prices are getting worse. It just keeps getting worse. I talked to a guy that's manager of a big grocery store here in town. He says, you can't believe how much the five-finger discount is occurring on food. I mean, he thought it was bad before in 2019, 2020. It's way worse now, he says. He's been doing that for over 15 years. By the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but the new tariffs on more than 90 countries around the world are just now going into effect. And this is breaking, in case you want to know why you're not getting your package from another country. Postal services around the world are halting package shipments to the United States because the tariffs are so new that they can't, they want to be in compliance, but it's still a huge gray area because, you know, the government works like a constipated turtle. All governments do. So the tariffs are in effect, but, you know, fine, great. But there's a gray area. They don't know what to charge or what not to charge, and they say, we're just not going to ship it. All these things that you're ordering from Etsy and other places, car parts, this. I went and got a jug of coconut oil, which I've bought now for years. It's a lot like that. The price went up on it from just a week ago by a hair over 20%. I was just at Sam's Club today. It went up over 20%. I couldn't believe it. So instead of buying like 6 of them, I bought 3 of them. I bought half as many. By the way, the little short person over in Ukraine, you know, the little short dude that wears t-shirts all the time, announced it his country, Ukraine, announced it his country to today that Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea, or Krim, as they would say in Russian and Ukrainian, which I speak, by the way, will once again be part of Ukraine proper. He made a declaration yesterday that it ain't stopping. You know, the pew, 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 you know, it's not stopping. I knew, this is no shocker to me. If you thought that that garbage that Cheeto Jesus, and I'm all for peace, you know, that garbage that just happened up in Alaska was going to stop anything or was the precursor to truce, I mean, you really had some rose-colored glasses on. It's not going to stop. Indications are that it's actually escalating. Also, too, they're shipping some stuff. Oh, the U.S. has approved sale of over 5,000 extended-range ERAMs, GPS-guided boom booms, to Ukraine, worth over selling, not giving, but they might as well be giving them to them, worth over 1.5 billion. Those are ERAMs that are headed to Ukraine. You really think that we're sending 1.5 billion of ERAMs to Ukraine because there's a truce going on or about to happen? No. It's exactly what I knew would be the case. Exactly. What's happening is a proxy engagement. I'm going to use the word engagement, proxy engagement with Russia. We're doing the same thing to them as we did to them in Afghanistan. When we completely bankrupted the Soyuz Sovietsky, it's the Soviet Union. Because I don't care, I lived in Russia. Most of you not lived in Russia. I could tell you right now what the Russian economy is like. Do they have an enormous amount of, the big ones, the ones that make the nice mushroom clouds? Yes, they do. But their economy is no good. It's rotten to the core. It's easy to break. It's essentially the size of Texas. That whole gigantic country, that you think is so powerful. It's got an economy about that of Texas. You can argue it all you want, but that's a stone-cold fact. I know more about Russia than you do. I don't care if you live in Russia. Even people in Russia would agree with me. Now, it's good if you're patriotic and, you can talk about all the mushroom cloud hardware that the Russia has, and they do. But they would never use it. You say, sure they would. It's like, no, they wouldn't, because Russia, I know Russians very well. They know if they'd use it, it would be adios. It would be vaya con Dios. comrade. Товарищ, as they say, по-русски языка. It's not going to happen. It's the unthinkable, and they know it. It's like, you do it, it's over. You could use it, but once you do, it's over with for you. It's finito. До свидания. People talk about that, and yeah, Russia does have a lot of them, but they're not going to use it. The U.S. Pentagon is preparing to deploy National Guard to Chicago, Illinois, as part of a sweeping effort addressing, rising conflict and homelessness and other things. I've been to Chicago 3 times. I've seen the South Side. It's absolutely tragic. I felt like I was in a different country, to be honest with you. I don't have a position on this one way or another. I mean, I don't know how the locals feel. Apparently the locals in D.C. are way, way happier that they can actually walk the streets in peace and calm. Somebody on live stream said it's going to get worse if you deploy national. That's just completely ridiculous. The sort of people that are causing the problems in D.C. are the exact mindset of the people that are causing problems in L.A. and Chicago. These people don't step to, they don't step to National Guard wearing interceptor vests and carrying heavy. They know how to use it. They don't. I don't care how tough you think they are. Ain't none of them tough enough to go up against trained National Guards wearing interceptor vests with 308 shock plates and carrying the heavy and know how to use it and are trained to use it. They're just not. I don't care. Well, so-and-so's been in... Doesn't matter. That's not happened in D.C., and it's not going to happen in Chicago. I can't believe somebody would think it would escalate. Maybe some purple-haired people protesting. Purple-haired people protesting. That kind of PPP. I hate to say this, and I'm a person that tries to look on the sunny side of things, but I've seen the reality because I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. I've been around the block more than a few times. I've not lived a sheltered life playing video games in mama's basement like a lot of people. So a lot of people, too, that aren't like that, they just go work to home, work to home, work to home. They don't see anything. Like, I know nothing. I don't want to know anything. People living with their blinders on. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy at all. But I don't know what you tell me what the percentage is. I think about fully 1/2 of the population of the United States might use the word unsalvageable. Maybe 1/2 unsalvageable. They're even worse than non-playing characters. A non-playing character you could get to actually step in and make a realization. By the way, Pete Hegseth, the National Guard in D.C. and the ones going forward are now packing. That's Pete Hegseth. They want the military in the streets before the power. This is a speculation by a lot, so this is speculative. They want the military in the streets to be packing before the power grid goes down. By the way, Cheeto Jesus can legally have them on the streets, the Guard, for 30 days before requiring congressional approval. 30 days to clean up the city is basically all it takes. Anyway, before requiring congressional approval to keep them there for longer. The 30-day limit, by the way, lapses on September the 11th. I don't know if that's coincidence or not. 9/11, 9/11. Where do I remember that particular date? September the 11th. I saw the video of the police in Australia, a guy in Brisbane. He was hanging down a Aussie flag. They took him away in cuffs. The locals were cheering his arrest. Okay? Aussie, hanging an Aussie flag. Yay! The police put the silver bracelets on him, and the locals were cheering it. These are worse than non-playing characters. This is the sort of unsalvageable word that I use to refer to a certain percentage of Americans. You take your pick, whatever you think that percentage is. Another man is arrested in the UK for saying, "We love bacon," by the way. He was being, and the other guy, arrested under Section 5 of the Public Order Act of 1986, which prohibits the use of bad words or behavior or disorderly behavior. So, I don't know what you think about the tyrannical misfitism, which, and I know that's not a word, tyrannical misfitism, happening in the UK, but, you know, dudes that are arrested for saying, we love bacon. I love bacon. Actually, after I saw that, I thought, God, I got some bacon in the refrigerator. I'm going to make some bacon. And I did. I made a bunch of bacon that day when I heard about the first guy getting arrested for saying, we love bacon. By the way, the WEF, they're cracking down on rice. I saw the video. A food staple for almost half the world population. More than half, actually. I hate rice, by the way. Under the guise of saving the planet, the World Bank president, A.J. Banga, speaking at the WEF conference, says, what we have here is an existential crisis of the weather. He didn't use the word with the weather, but I'm not going to use the C word there. We have an existential weather crisis. So-called weather change is not responsible for, you know, wiping out a lot of species. It's chemicals for manufacturing that gets dumped into the rivers and estuaries, and, you know, it's like Dow and DuPont and other entities that are causing that problem. It ain't the weather. I'm sorry. I don't care what you think and believe on that. I care about the facts, not people's feelings about things. There's a lot of internal rot that's brought about by a public education system. These are the people that want to dismantle the United States. The United States, by the way, is not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. I wish young people would learn how to invest. They're lazy and entitled. They don't believe in hard work. They just don't. And they will say, well, it's too expensive now. I could work till the end of time, and I still couldn't afford a house, and that's not true. I've given people example after example after example of how they could get a decent piece of land and a really nice house for like less than $40,000. Like acres of land and a nice house for less than $40,000. So the people that say that are lying. I know actually a lot about land. I do. I've given examples of that which I speak. I recently sold a church which is easily converted into a house, and the place is so overbuilt, so well built, and it's sold for less than 40. City water, city power, high-speed internet, cinder block, metal roof, really, really super, super well built. There's one example among many. Money is about to become trash coin. You could call it the stable coin. I don't care what you call it. It's going to become trash coin. I don't tell anybody what to do, and it's none of my business. But please make a consideration amongst yourself or your family to stick at least 20% into some type of tangibles before your actual money, whether it's cash in hand or in the bank, becomes trash coin. That's land, metals. Think about 2% of that going into non-perishable foods, sprouting seeds, water sources, and or water filtration. Start canning foods. I use Russian water. You know what I mean? Russian water. To can fruits. They basically last forever. It's like sticking fruits, tissue samples in formaldehyde. They last forever. I got tangerines in the basement sitting in Russian water. And I canned them like 4 years ago. They look like I canned them yesterday. You know. Canning jars are cheap. Before money becomes trash coin, think about some asset diversification into tangibles. You decide the amount, you decide the percentage, but it's something you really... This is happening. This isn't not my opinion, my feeling that it's going to happen. It is happening. Lastly, I keep hearing this on live stream, and it's something I've admitted to as a truth seeker. You have to be honest with yourself about. I have completely failed on this front. Completely. I keep hearing stuff like, well, who would bring an evil child into this evil world? I don't know if you know this or not, but a baby only needs like a roof over its head and food and the loving smiles and hugs from their parents. They don't need a whole lot more than that. The poorer people are, the more kids that they have. The only people that are complaining and are not having kids, and Elon Musk, even though I don't really like or respect him, is right about this, are first world people who've had their brains washed over the years that think that having a child is evil. I mean, it's a good thing your mother didn't think that way, or you never would have been born. People today are really, really selfish. I didn't have kids not because I was selfish. Didn't have kids for a million different reasons. I was just too busy, you know, trying to make ends meet, and, you know, the difficulties of life. And I was married for 10 years, but that was to, you know, a lady that was, you know, leaving this world because of a glioblastoma tumor, and, you know, that was just 10 years cut out of my life. So I could blame it on a lot of stuff, but I'm ultimately responsible, and I failed on that front. But this idea that this world is so bad right now, it's headed that way. But I mean, people didn't think that way during the Great Depression, or the big one, or the second one, or times. They didn't think that way. A baby just needs food, and a blanket, and a fresh diaper, and a loving hugs and care of their parents. You don't need all this stuff. You know, people that actually have a roof over their heads and a halfway decent job or two are complaining about having kids when, you know, homeless Sally down here in the corner, you know, has got a second kid on the way. She isn't worried. She's not worried because she's got a roof over her head. She can always get, there is nobody that has a baby. It's like, oh, you know, I'm starving. You know, I don't need anything for myself. Could you just give me some money so I could buy some baby food? The baby is always going to eat. And she go down to any hospital and like, I have no health care, I have no home, no job. And they're going to give the baby free medical care. I mean, that's a million times better than it was in the past. I mean, in the ancient days, there was no medical care, essentially anyway. So I can't believe how, and this comes from public education, and this is the reason why all these people from other countries are coming to Western countries, is because they're afraid of losing their tax base. But they're losing their tax base because they've used public education to destroy the minds of thinking, oh my God, this world's so evil, I would never bring a kid into it. It's like, please, God, I mean, I don't care what people believe. Believe whatever you want, but if you could flush one thing out of your brain, and it's just so wrong. It's so wrong-headed. It's just so awful. And it just makes me want to scream, not literally. It makes me want to scream when I hear it. It's just so wrong. Baby don't need much. Food, a roof over its head, and the love and care of its folks. You got love, and a fresh diaper, and some food, and some kind of shelter. I mean, cavemen didn't have shelter. I mean, they hang out in caves. Like, oh, I'm not going to have a baby because I have no... What if a caveman thought, which they basically didn't think, what if a caveman thought, oh, I'm not going to have a baby because I don't have health insurance or a reliable food source or, you know... They didn't have any of that stuff. Yet people think that way. It's just so wrong-headed. I can't wait for my dad to call me when he gets to Tampa and he gets to the emergency room where my mother is after the emergency surgery to install a temporary pacemaker. I'm really stressed out. I'm worried about her. I'm trying to hold it together for this video. Yes, I'm wearing a new ugly shirt. It's got little beverages on it. I only paid $10 for it, so you're saying, that's a new shirt. It's like, yes, it is. I'll catch you in live stream, and I'm sorry I was a little bit off in this video, but at least I gave you the reason for why. Thank you.